The opposite of love is not hate, it's not fear. And today we are going to discover this together because it's quite simple. And why would you even spend any time looking into this or discovering something that clearly most people already have an idea about what love is? When we have an idea about what love is, it's just that. It's just an idea. And when we don't really know what it is, when we don't really know what it looks like, then we keep on searching. We search and search and we're looking for it outside of ourselves, which means that often love is something that makes us feel good, when someone is nice, when someone gives you what you want. We think that that's what love is because it makes us feel really good. It makes us feel really connected, really satisfied, really fulfilled, warm, turned on, whatever you want to call it. So this is just an idea. And of course, because it's an idea, it doesn't last and it oscillates between looking for it and never finding it and lacking. So feeling that there is never enough. There is never enough love. Nobody loves you. Nobody gives you approval. That means nobody understands you. Love is so simple. And there is a really beautiful way to look at it. So I'm going to invite you to look at it with me today. So what is love? I'm gonna speak in the opposite of it today because love cannot really be described. The moment you put a word on it, it becomes a concept. But when we look at what it isn't, what is the opposite of it, then it becomes obvious. And so as I said at the beginning, the opposite is not hate, is not fear, as often we hear in spiritual teachings. The opposite of love is simply control. Is when we're trying to control something, when we're trying to fix, when we're trying to fix somebody or something into a fantasy that we have about it. A fantasy is something that we believe that things or people should be like. And we are 100% convinced that that's the truth, that that's the way it is. But suddenly, or somehow, the reality diverges and we feel let down, or we feel that they're just not doing that thing that we really want. And we feel like they're not loving us. We feel there is never enough love. We feel like nobody understands. We start thinking what's wrong with us, and we adjust our perception to other people. So we behave in a way seeking love. We behave in a way that we believe will give us love, will give us likes, will give us that feeling. So love obviously is not a feeling because that comes only from a story. When we think, it comes from a thought. When we think someone is doing something for us, something great, what we want, what we need, they say something or that we like, then we feel loved. But what if reality is actually different and we don't know about it? What if someone tells you, I love you so much, but they cheat on you and you don't know about it? Do you still feel loved? Yes, you do, because you don't know what actually happens in reality. It's just a story. And as a story, it oscillates inevitably between good and bad, between feeling so loved and between feeling there is never enough love. Nobody will ever love you, or nobody will ever love you, or the world is just not a loving, warm place. And you have to constantly manipulate this world and other people in order to get some. to get some approval, to get some understanding, to get some listening, to get some attention, to get some love, some warmth, anything. And so recently I watched this video that was quite beautiful. It's just a short viral video. Maybe you have seen it. It was about a girl who, she had a panic attack and she called her mom. And by the time her mom arrived to her house, and this was filmed with a security camera, the girl was basically lying on the floor outside of the house, so on the road, on the driveway, and it was raining. She was just lying there. And so the mom arrived, and the security camera caught what happened. And it was very simple. Because normally when moms see their children doing something that can cause them some harm, or maybe, they get wet and they can get sick, they need to give some advice, they need to just change everything towards what they believe is the right thing, because we're trying to protect those people. We think that that's what love is. What this mom did was so beautiful. She arrived, she just looked at her daughter, was lying there in the rain, and she got off the car and she just lay beside her and just was there with her. So if there were words to what love is, it's just being with something, or being with someone without the need to control them. And that control can happen even in thoughts. It can happen, they should be different, what they're doing. We try to just adjust them somehow because we don't trust them. We don't trust that what's happening is actually somehow supporting the person, or we don't trust that they are intelligent enough to find their own way, or we don't trust that it's happening fast enough, or it should be happening in a different way. And so we constantly try to control something and somebody. And perhaps in your life you can see how that control happens constantly. When I work with people, and the very first thing that we do, the very first week, is I give them this assignment to just look into their thoughts and labeling them instead of just getting caught up. So it's just, you start noticing, that your thoughts are all about controlling, manipulating, patronizing, advice giving, changing, blaming, victorizing. And so what happens after a while, when you do this, you start disidentify, or this disidentification from the self-image starts happening, and we start noticing that it's completely ridiculous how much control there is, how much manipulation, how much blame, how many stories and assumptions and expectations and whole world of fantasies is happening. But the first step is really just to notice that, and until it just becomes ridiculous, it becomes funny, it becomes this thing where you're just, instead of getting caught up with those thoughts, you're simply noticing what's happening and labeling what it is. Because the part of you, or the real you, that is able to even look and label something, notice it, is able to do this without any agenda. The person, the self-image that we believe that we are, it can never notice anything. It can never notice anything that's in reality or that's actually happening. It always notices a story, and it always notices with an agenda, because it already knows what's better and what's worse, and it already has an idea about everything. So it's very powerful to simply notice and label something for what it really is, until it just becomes funny often, how much catastrophizing we do and how much control. It's just insane. There is more than you think, and there is absolutely nothing wrong about it, because there is absolutely nothing that you can do about it. It's not about doing something. It's not about trying to change it. It's not about suppressing it. It's not about improving yourself. It's not about doing some techniques about it, managing these emotions and managing these thoughts, because it simply doesn't work. And if something doesn't work, If something simply is, then it's completely normal. It's normal for everybody. I haven't seen it not happening to anyone. And this whole thing has to do something, again, with the self-image that we're projecting, that self-image that we think that we are. And it's always about being a good person. So in the example I gave, it can be being a good mom. You know, a good mom really cares about the health of her daughter, and she wants to protect her and defend her and give her advice. But what's happening deep inside, there is the self-image of a good person that she's actually trying to protect. And what is the cost is that she's losing that connection with her daughter, because she cannot be with her, just being exactly as she is, the way she is. And this is so beautiful when you simply notice how powerful is just being with somebody. You don't need to even say any words. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to prove anything. You're simply there. You're simply being with them. And in that being, there is just love experienced that's been there all along, uncovered or unrecognized. And in that being, it has a chance to just open up and become visible, not to the eyes, just become recognized what it really is. So I just want to invite you, if you feel open, to see what it really feels like to be with people. It is, of course, not a task. It's not an advice to do, because it's completely normal that we have these judgments about people, that we're trying to control them very subtly all the time in our heads, that they should be a little bit different. We know what is the best for them. And therefore we are with that fantasy of what's the best for them, and we're losing that beautiful connection that's there. And miracles really happen when we can really just be with somebody or something. It's just the way things unfold is just so unexpected. It's so healing. It's way beyond of any ideas we have about how things should be and what is the best. I always find this unexpectedness that reveals itself, that comes from this being, and it's beautiful. And there is also nothing wrong with simply getting caught up with the self-image that we believe that we are, the voice essentially in our head that tells us what is the best. The images that are not visible, but we just can't deny them, we react to them. Those images that are fantasies about how everything should be or shouldn't be, what should happen, how people should be, how they should treat us. A whole world, a whole universe of fantasies. And so in being, that's why love is just so powerful, because it's simply being with exactly what's in front of me. Not an idea, simply what's right here.